And now it's time for Arts and Crafts Hour with Homesteady. Okay, not really. This is, this is a new idea of mine. This is actually a prototype of an idea. This is the second one. That's the first one. That one didn't work as well. This is a prototype of something I'm working on right now. And I want to talk to you in this video about how the process I go through when I have a new thing to build on the homestead, whether that's some kind of raised bed or a movable structure to house a camel or a rabbit tractor, which is what I'm currently working on. I want to talk to you about the process, how I build something that has never been built before, and how you can do that too. Okay, before we go outside, I do have to show you how good the Kratky garden is doing. My goodness, look at these heads of lettuce, and I want you to note these heads of lettuce we have actually been harvesting 3 weeks, 21 days. We started cutting off the big leaves. I have eaten 3 times from this head of lettuce and it still gives. You'll notice our indoor garden has grown. We have our lettuces that we've started, but now we have a ton of herbs. We got a bunch of tomatoes started in dirt. We got all kinds of stuff. And yeah, the cool thing about that kitchen garden, that indoor kitchen garden, is we just go at dinner time. Kay's like, okay, I need a salad. I go in there with a pair of scissors and I go snip, snip, snip and cut out a salad. You don't have to wash it. I watch the tail end of it where it's near the hydroponic nutrient solution. But like the tops of the leaves, you don't wash that. There's nothing on it. There's no dirt, no bugs. It's just ready to eat. It's the easiest garden I've ever had. It's awesome. Something that you're gonna find when you start homesteading is that your homestead presents a unique set of circumstances unlike any other homestead that you see on YouTube, that you read about on a blog or in a book, that you listen to on a podcast. Your homestead will be different from every other one. And that makes it kind of challenging sometimes to do things because we don't always have the same circumstances, so we shouldn't always have the same infrastructure or do the same animals. Your homestead needs to fit your family's needs. If you don't have a kid who is allergic to regular cow milk, then you probably don't need a camel. Camels are great, but if you can drink your regular A2 cow milk, then get a A2 mini Jersey, right? Unique circumstances mean different things on your homestead. Your homestead will look different based off of your family's needs. You also will have different things at your disposal, right? You'll have different things on your homestead. Maybe it's actual natural building supplies. I think about back at Squash Hollow, we had a hemlock forest that we went and cleared, and we had all this hemlock lumber that we turned into lumber we could build, and we built sheds out of hemlock. I don't have any hemlock trees here, so I'm not building out of hemlock. Your skills, your unique set of skills also will kind of change what you do. If you're a carpenter, you're going to build things out of wood. If you are a metal worker like my father-in-law, you're going to have a lot of things made out of metal. When it comes to building new kinds of infrastructure for your homestead, things that aren't out there yet on YouTube or aren't in a vlog, coming up with your own ideas, there's a bit of a process that I know helps me when I have to build something. And maybe it'll help you too if there's times where you can't find a solution that'll work for you and you have to build something from scratch. So my problem right now is I have a bunch of meat rabbits. I have a ton of meat rabbits inside of our rabbit colony inside of the barn. And it's great. We are loving this rabbit colony. But it is taking a ton of feed to get these rabbits to full weight. Come on, pups. And the problem with that is, well, right there. I have a whole lot of feed for rabbits growing in my yard that I'm mowing with the tractor that could be feeding the rabbits and cutting the cost of what I'm spending on feed. So I decided it's time to get the rabbits out on pasture. But easier said than done. How do you get rabbits out on pasture without them being killed by everything, without losing them to predation, without them escaping whatever you've put them in? And in comes the ideas of, well, we could either make an outdoor colony or we could make a rabbit tractor, a little movable vehicle that you put them in and you move them around yourself. We thought about doing an outdoor colony, and ultimately we decided against it. We like having the rabbits inside the barn, that nursery where our breeders are. We can control the breeding that way. We can make sure our breeders are really super protected from predators. There's nothing can get in that barn and nothing can get out of that barn unless we let it, or unless we forget to close the barn or something. But as long as we do what we're supposed to, there's no rabbits are going to be lost to predation. An outdoor colony, there's a lot more variables, and we could lose our breeders and our colony real fast if we made a beginner mistake, which as beginners to rabbits, we're likely to make. So we want to keep the rabbits indoors. It's at least the breeding ones and the babies. Another nice side of having breeders and babies indoors is they become very personable. You've watched the videos of my kids in here. Pretty much every morning when we come to do the barn chores, the kids come into the rabbit colony and they play with the rabbits for like 10 minutes a day. How often do you see rabbits that are being raised for meat come running right up to you when you open the door to say hello? These are incredibly friendly, incredibly easy to handle rabbits. Now they're still not pets, but they are, I mean, they're pretty easy to work with and handle. They're pretty nice little animals because they're used to people. And we like that. And honestly, I don't think they would be like that if they weren't raised in the colony and every single day the kids go in there and handle them when they're little. So we want to keep that. So the rabbit colony is going to stay in here, and the mamas and the daddies and the babies are going to all stay in here. But as they get bigger and closer to full weight, where we're going to be butchering them for putting food on the table, they start to eat a lot. We are going through a ton of rabbit pellets. Rabbit pellets is not super sustainable. You got to go out to the store and buy them every time you need them. And I'm just thinking, like, how could we cut back on that? And so rabbit tractor seems like the solution. So we're going to make a rabbit tractor where we take the rabbits, the next batch that is going to be butchered, and we put them out in a tractor and we move that little rabbit tractor around the property. Now I know what I want. The problem I figured out what could be the solution to it. Now I have to build a rabbit tractor. And so the next part of this creative building process, first you realize what you need to build, what you want. Then you have to figure out what style are you going to make. So the first thing I like to do when I'm going to build something like a rabbit tractor or a movable shelter for livestock or something that's kind of out of the box that you can't just go to Tractor Supply and purchase, I like to gather a bunch of information. First off, is there one out there that's perfect, that I think, you know, is 90% of what I need, and I could just buy the plans, copy what that person did. In the past, I've done this, my camel feeder, hay feeder. I found a picture on the internet. I was like, you know what? That's perfect. I can't beat that. And I built it. Now we have a perfect camel feeder. When it comes to rabbit tractors, I haven't found the perfect one yet. But I have found a ton of good ideas, and so this is what I do next. When I decide I'm going to build something, I search and say, okay, is there a perfect one out there? No. Well, what do I like about all the ideas on the entire internet? The internet's an amazing place to find ideas. And so I have learned in the last week of just searching vlogs and blogs and pictures online, everything you could imagine, rabbit tractor. I've looked at it and I've said, what do I like, what don't I like? I've watched videos, I've listened to people say what they like and what they don't about their own designs. I've I've scoured the internet, and what I've come to, the conclusion I've come to is there's no perfect rabbit tractor out there yet. There's not a plan I can buy. So I'm gonna steal a bunch of ideas from different designs. I'm gonna take from this and take from that and try to make the perfect rabbit tractor. And I know I'm not going to. Your prototype, your first one is never perfect, but I'm gonna try. I've done it before with chicken tractors, and I've never built the perfect chicken tractor. I will 100% admit the best chicken tractor I've ever seen is a John Siskovich chicken tractor, and I have plans on building one of those. But here's a perfect example. A John Siskovich chicken tractor works great for that. Could work pretty good for rabbits too. I actually have seen pictures of people using them for rabbits. But there are a few things that I think I'd like to change for our rabbit situation here. So I'm going to take a couple ideas from a Siskovich chicken tractor. I'm also going to take a couple ideas from Joel Salatin's rabbit tractor. Joel Salatin's rabbit tractor has slats in the bottom. Slats allow the rabbits, when you lift up the tractor, to be held in place without escaping, but when you put it down on the grass, it lets grass stick up through. So I might put some slats into my tractor. As far as moving the tractor, I hate tractors that you have to drag. I like them to have wheels. I've built chicken tractors in the past with no wheels. They kind of tear up your lawn or your pasture. They get really heavy and hard to move, and they wind up kind of busting the thing up. So I want to make sure mine has wheels. Justin Rowe's Chickshaw is a great idea. He has taken the wheels on the tractor, put them in the center. He put big old bicycle wheels, like big wheels on it, so it's easy to move. He centered the balance of the chickens and their weight so that you don't have to, horse that thing around. I love that idea. But the Chickshaw won't work for rabbits because it has to be down low to the ground. But how could I take the big wheel idea from the Chickshaw and where it's placed and meld that with a Siskovich tractor and with a Joel Salatin tractor and make the perfect rabbit tractor? Well, I have a couple ideas how I might be able to do it, and you'll see that in upcoming videos. The next thing that I do is I try to build like a prototype, and I have a prototype already made. And when I say prototype, this is not actually what I'm going to be building. This isn't the final idea. Basically, I just needed something to put some rabbits in so I could learn how this procedure works, where are the friction points, what's easy, what's hard. So let's look at my first rabbit tractor. We're gonna take a brief pause from tinkering and working on this rabbit tractor idea to do our Homesteady camel train shout out. And today's shout out goes to Rose from Tampa. Rose lives in northern Tampa in an area that was previously all farmland. The farms in the area are being sold for residential and commercial development, which is always kind of a bummer to see that happen to good farmland. It drives farmers out. Rose says that's why it's important to support farmers like Homesteady. Because of the current hostile environment for farms, it's good to support your local farmers, and we are 100% behind that. That's why every year when our farmers market opens up, we head to the farmers market, we support our local farms through our produce. In the past, we've done it with raw milk before we had our own cows. So Rose, we love that you want to support local farms. This year, Rose is going to introduce chickens and ducks to her homestead, as well as, this is a first for the camel train, blue and red banana trees. Rose wanted to wish our family all the best. Thank you so much, Rose, for joining the camel train, for being a part of Homesteady, and send me a blue banana. I want to see what that's like. You have lifetime access to the Pioneer program, Rose. There is a lot of information about chickens and ducks in the Pioneer program. We have a couple different interviews about chickens. We have an interview that I'm planning to bring on the show soon about chicken health. You could join us live for that show as a Homesteady Pioneer. So try to join us live for that so you can ask some chicken questions of our chicken health expert. And for those of you who want to be Homesteady Pioneers, you can't join the camel train, it's sold out, but you can become a pioneer by clicking there, gain access to the live shows, the bonus content like Rose is going to be able to, and be a pioneer along with Rose. Thank you, Rose, for sponsoring today's episode. Now let's get back to working and tinkering on what hopefully will be the best rabbit tractor on the internet. So this is my first attempt at a rabbit tractor, and here's one of the things I was talking about. unique to me, may not work for you. The way this thing is built, I have a couple pieces of big black corrugated pipe attached to a couple of pieces of deck board. Black corrugated pipe is very expensive. If you were trying to make something like this, it probably wouldn't be cost effective to make something like this for you, unless you had some black corrugated pipe laying around. We happen to have some big black corrugated pipe scraps that were being saved for something, and this happened to be the something we used them for. Now, should you go out and buy a brand new corrugated pipe to build this? Probably not. But for me, it worked for the time. I wanted to test out this metal material that you see is the structure and the floor. I wanted to see how it would work. Slats are a great idea, but this stuff is easier to install. So I wanted to see how this stuff worked. So I put this little guy together in a couple hours. And honestly, it is working. I mean, I can move it right now onto some fresh grass. In fact, I will do that and show you how it works and how the rabbits like it. So let's move it onto some fresh grass. I just pick it up. Drag it. Jump up. Okay, you can see the rabbit tractor was right here. There's some grass been nibbled and munched. I moved it to a new spot where they can go and nibble that grass and munch that grass. But here's the thing. There's a lot of grass here that's not been eaten, not been touched. So I've learned from this experiment that wire material, while easy to install, probably will not work better than slats in the floor of the rabbit tractor. Slats will probably do better. So now I know, having built a prototype, played around with it for a little while, see what's good and what's bad about it, I know I probably want slats, not that wire material. I also have a couple ideas of how to build a door. Right now I'm using that black corrugated pipe as a little rain block, but I'll probably make my rabbit tractor have one solid tin piece for the roof, idea I've seen on a lot of people's designs. So gather some ideas, build a couple quick prototypes to find out what's easy, what's hard, what works good, what doesn't. Then start designing your actual thing. And before you start building, I find it's really good to build it on paper first. So I'm going to start doing that. I've got a couple pieces of the puzzle together now, and I'm going to start playing around with it, working on a few more prototype ideas. I have a really good idea of how to get big wheels on this thing, like you might see in the chickshaw, but how those big wheels could also be moved on the thing so that it lowers down to the ground and allows the rabbits to eat right off the ground once we get into the spot we want. So I'm gonna play around with this. Over the next few videos, I'm gonna be working on this bit by bit, and eventually you'll see my finished second prototype of a rabbit tractor. Let me know in the comments below, do you have a rabbit tractor? Do you have any good ideas to share? I wanna make the best one on the internet. Will I? Maybe. I hope so. Probably won't. But if we all have some good ideas, if we put them all together, maybe the Homesteady rabbit tractor will be the best rabbit tractor out there. It's worth a shot, right? Shoot for the stars, you might land on the moon. Or is it the other way around? Shoot for the moon, you'll land amongst the stars. I don't like that version, because if you shoot for the moon but you miss it and you land amongst the stars, well, there's no way to turn around. You need the moon to pull your shuttle around and send it back home. Then you're lost in space. Or at least that's the way it was in the Apollo days. Maybe the space shuttle could fly you back home. Did I ever tell you I went to space camp? I wanted to be an astronaut. Okay, I gotta get to work on building an axle so I can actually test this cool idea of raising and lowering the wheels on the tractor. Because the wheels on the tractor go, I'm on a roll today.